Hey, we're here at ATA 2018. Got Tim Gillingham with Gold Tip and Bee Stinger, and he's going to talk a little bit about the shafts and some stabilizers.
All right, sounds good. Well, what we've got, with Gold Tip there, not a lot of new this year. We've got, all your target shafts this year are going through a new process now. All your high-end shafts going through a 3-laser sort instead of the standard AMO sort. So you're going to get a lot straighter shafts sorted that way. A lot of new innovation in the manufacturing side, as far as our ability to make more straighter arrows, and that's really big in carbon and really big for us too, especially. So we kind of take the stance that we don't want to fix something that's not broken. We still have the original Pro Hunter in the lineup. If you've got a good ammunition for your bow, you really don't want to change it. And there's nothing. This is probably one of the most versatile arrows on the market. In my opinion, probably if I had one arrow that I could shoot, and that's the only arrow I could shoot, this is the diameter I would shoot. It tends to be the most forgiving for tuning. It's an internal component system. The last couple of years, our new micro diameter Pierce arrows have been real popular. It has its niche. Last year we launched a new factory 4-fletch system that you can get on all your high-end arrows in the Valkyrie. I'd encourage you to try a 4-fletch system if you've never tried it. I've used it for years and years. It does a better job with broadheads. This Pierce arrow has a 2-part insert system that we've done some videos on now. You can get on our YouTube link, and I go through a video on how to use this insert system and really spin tune it in for perfect straightness. It's the best system for mounting a broadhead to a micro diameter arrow, unless you're going to use like a deep 6. Deep 6s are a pretty good system. There's just not a lot of available broadheads, and I have rigged these up that way too. Again, your target arrows go through a whole new label system. Our 005 shafts are going to now be a 0025, so our ability to build them straighter is just going to up the tolerances on even our secondary grade shafts. But the one thing that really sets Gold Tip apart from a lot of the other manufacturers is our manufacturing process. You see a lot of arrows on the market. They got a lot of marketing, fluff on them. But the core thing that makes a Gold Tip better is what we talk about. Is its memory, its toughness, its durability. And the best way for me to illustrate that to you is just show you kind of what's wrong with some stuff. If you take this arrow here, like this beam, and we already bent it once. Let's take a new one. This is just a different manufacturing process that we use. We use a pre-preg roll process. You got 2 arrows that are basically in the same class diameter, but they're remarkably different. This arrow, we look at it beforehand, and this is, we'll do the bend test here in a bit, but this test to me as a shooter is the most important thing that an arrow, the most important attribute of an arrow is. I take all the time to tune all my arrows in. Some of these manufacturers out here, people make claims that they have the most spine consistent arrow and they don't have to do this. I'll be here to tell you, after shooting professionally for 35 years, you have to tune arrows. It's like bullets. You can buy a certain level of accuracy. You have to create the next level. You have to, tune the next level out. And it's very easy to do, and we cover this a lot in videos. And I'll be doing a whole tuning series here this year that'll cover tuning from top to bottom and how to micro-tune your setup. But the most important thing is that when we go to tune these bows, these arrows, I don't want to, everybody's got their favorite arrow. I hit this arrow, hits this arrow, nobody really knows why. Well, I have 24 favorite arrows. I keep a linear out of my quiver and never have a fire because of the processes that we use and the processes that I use afterwards. So when we tune arrows, we want them to be, you want to protect that tune. So if you have an arrow like this, you've probably heard guys say you can shoot the spine out of a carbon arrow, right? Let me show you what's happening. So this arrow here is perfectly straight, right? Or fairly straight.
Yep.
Just a simple bend like this, and now we're going out.
Wow.
For an arrow that's going to be 40 or 55. If we do the same thing with the Gold Tip, you're going to see straight arrow. And when we take the same bend, you're not going to see that memory issue simply because there's no. This arrow here, let me find one that we broke. This is an axis, it's built kind of the same way, but there's fiberglass in there. It's an inline cured shaft, it's more brittle, and you'll see that when we put it in the bend test. So let's take these arrows, same 2 arrows that we bent. Let me show you another one too. Here's an arrow that everybody they claim it's dual spine this, dual spine that. What does that matter if it doesn't maintain its tune, right?
Right.
Because when an arrow's crooked, what happens is the power stroke of the string does not load up the arrow in exactly the same spot. That'll translate into a different paper tear, which translates into the broad edge steering opposite of the paper tear, or the fill point to a lesser degree. That's what causes arrows not to hit with each other, is their dynamic reaction. And what I teach guys how to do is to tune all their arrows through paper. Paper is the very best way to tune anything because it tells you, it gives you a cause and effect of everything. And I'll be doing a seminar, kind of a live feed at Botech on Friday afternoon about 11:30. We're going to talk about tuning and why some systems tune better than others and so on and so forth. This arrow too, I mean, very expensive arrow. But all this stuff on the outside is simple cosmetics, right? It's a plastic material. All these plastic materials you see hold bend. They hold. It's all a ratio of carbon versus non-carbon material in the shaft. This shaft's essentially built the same way as a gold tip. Just when you start adding the non-carbon material to it is where you start to cause the issue.
And if they bend, then you lose your accuracy and your consistency.
Let's just take one of these arrows now and bend. Did you guys make this hole smaller?
What?
So this bend test is just kind of an illustration on failure point in the arrow and how much more brittle one is than the other. Real world hunting application, you're not going to bend arrows as much, but it shows a remarkable difference in the toughness of an arrow. The toughness comes from the type of carbon fiber used, the type of process being used. The world's best fly rods are built the way we build shafts. They're stronger, they have better memory. If you look at the scale there, you watch where this thing breaks. You'll start to hear it pop and snap. It's pretty good for a beam. It only broke there about 32. So we'll take the same arrow in the same class and just see how much more resistance it has. People have always known gold tips to be tough arrows. This arrow here, this Pro Hunter, I've set it up and shot FIDA with it at 90 meters. In practice one day I shot a 352 at 90 meters. I mean, that's as good as it gets. It doesn't get any better. I compete a lot with this arrow. Arrows just come in different weight ranges and diameters. I mean, that's really how you should look at it. It's just, there's no such thing as the perfect arrow. Everybody always calls me wanting the perfect arrow. And I always ask them, well, what you doing with it? Okay, so that beam broke at about 32.
Yeah.
This one should make it pretty close to the end of the scale. And if we, after we're done, we'll show you kind of, one of our toughest arrows, where we do another arrow in a different class, smaller diameter. Now, if we were to take that Pierce arrow and put it in there, it wouldn't handle near as much.
The other one broke right there.
Because it's a high modulus graphite. In order to get a small diameter stiff enough, you have to start adding it. Start to laminate. We're making it. We're at 28 there. Wow. All the way to 27. You can see how much better that shaft's going. Okay. Let's do a comparison on an axis and a kinetic one.
Okay.
Because the kinetic will really show you our toughest arrow. Up against, these two arrows are in direct competition with each other. They're both 204 diameter. And in fact, this arrow, being 2 inch and a half longer, should actually be able to flex more. But let me show you this is built basically the same way as that beam was built. And I might as well just show you for the spin check before we do it anyway. Now that one's already been, you can see. But it has the same issue when you bend it.
Oh, yeah.
We made it a lot worse.
Yeah.
So an arrow like that over time is going to shoot out. You're going to shoot it out. And at what point are you going to realize it? That's the bad thing. Is I want to set arrows that I take the time to tune, and it really doesn't take that long. I can shoot a dozen arrows in through paper in 30 minutes if they're properly spined. If they're too weak, it'll drive you crazy.
I mean, you could even notice that even out hunting, you're out hunting, fall and, land on your quiver wrong or something.
Absolutely.
Not even realize what you're doing.
And then one of the big differences too, if you do a lot of refletching, you'll notice is the gold tip carbon is a much harder carbon. So when you're scraping veins and stuff, you're not going to be lifting carbon like you will with a lot of these other arrows that are built with, you know, Chinese and Asian fiber. It's a lot softer fiber. We use American-made fiber on all of our shafts, and it just builds a better arrow. They're more expensive, of course, and we always, you know, you always fight, you know, the cost war with companies like Victory and stuff, you know, because they don't have to deal with this. So that Beeman broke what at 32.
32.
This might make it a little bit further. Depends. They're pretty brittle. But again, I mean, you're probably not going to bend an arrow like this under, you know, any hunting scenario. But to me, it's just another test that shows you the difference.
But you didn't bend it much before, and it was wobbling quite a bit.
It's another thing. If a guy ever, you know, you get in a shop or something, a guy says, well, that arrow blew up double foot in your hand. If an arrow breaks in 2 pieces, it's been damaged. You'll notice all these arrows that break, they break into 4 pieces. A compression break is going to break into 4 pieces. I've had arrows where I shoot an overdraw, come out, the broadhead catch the riser, and they don't explode. They just stop. Or they'll derail the bow if they get sideways. So arrows that are failing on people are, you know, usually 99.9% of the time damaged. Now this here is just an example. This is the toughest arrow that gold tip makes. Okay. It's a thicker sidewall. It's a smaller diameter, so it's going to resist. It's going to hold. It's going to bend a little bit easier, and it doesn't have high mod in it. Like when you get to the micro diameter arrows, they're all required to use high mod graphite, which is a little bit more brittle. It's just the downside of there's give and take in every scenario. There's no such thing as perfect. And if we were to build that arrow out of medium mod graphite to give it a little bit more elasticity, we would just simply have a much heavier arrow.
Yeah.
And there's a niche for that too, and it probably will come. But I don't see, for me, the average hunting arrow I want to shoot is 400 to 450 grains. I don't want heavier than that. And I've got speed to burn. Number one reason a bow hunter misses is because of yardage.
Yep, I agree.
So why do you want to shoot an arrow that's 12 grains an inch and 250 foot a second? I don't get it. Makes no sense to me.
That axis broke right there.
So this arrow here usually will go bottom the scale out. It's just extremely durable. And again, it'll hold its memory every bit as good as anything else in our line. And all of our arrows are made this way. So we made it almost to the very end of the scale there. Sometimes they'll make it to the end and sit there a while, but it's awesome. Even in the gold tip line, if you'll take like a traditional shaft that has cosmetic finishes on the outside, as you get down in the spines, like 600 spine versus 300 spine, you'll start to see that memory issue more because it's just carbon versus non-carbon. You know, the best shafts are, you know, very low resin contents of very high quality pre-preg rolled shafts, and that's the gold tip line. So.
Yeah, you know, a lot of people, as far as in the bow hunting industry, I owned an archery shop for over 20 years.
Right.
And I shot as well. That's how we met. You know, a lot of people don't realize, you know, like side weight and how that can help you in the balance of the bow, and you know.
Stabilization, you know, I won a lot of tournaments over the years not knowing a heck of a lot about stabilization. And I think I attribute a lot of that to the way I shoot the release. I'm not as hostage to movement as some guys are. But when I was introduced to Bee Stinger, it was like a big turning point in my archery career. I mean, I really learned some stuff, you know, and it is probably the single biggest thing I do now to really get my bow to do what I want to do. As far as hunters go, most of them honestly get sold a bill of goods by their archery shop, and I think that happens in a lot of products. You know, there's some really good shops out there that really try to teach people the difference, but a lot of times shop owners just get inundated so much at the last minute of the season, they're just getting guys in and out the door. A guy gets a 6-inch stabilizer that does nothing for him. Does nothing. Holds his wrist strap on, which he probably doesn't need anyway because he's probably white knuckling the riser anyway. So this is new from Bee Stinger this year. So Bee Stinger and Gold Tip kind of merged a few years back, and we're able to use our carbon manufacturing plant to build all this stuff now. This is new for this year, and we've got it in target bars. It's a new material called Countervelt. It's got a dampening feature in the actual carbon itself. Last year we come out with a counter slide that sits off the side of the bow. Let's see if we can. He's got one rigged up here on a target bow. So what we built here is a micro diameter stabilizer that has a dampening feature, and you can really feel this when you shoot. Now, I'm going to be the first guy to tell you that it's just another niche. Okay, some guys complain about the Premier Plus. It's a stiffer bar, much stiffer bar, having too much resonance and vibration, and it affects their elbows and stuff. Recurve shooters especially, I think this bar is going to be exceptionally good for recurve shooters. If guys are shooting under 30-inch bars, even 33s with reasonable weight, I think this is going to be a good bar for them. The Premier Plus, you know, a lot of your top pros are running a lot of heavy weights. You're going to want, I think you guys still going to want to stick to Premier Plus on that, but it is a bar. It's just another niche in our line, and we've added it into the hunting line. It's a very good quality bar. And these, we don't have the graphics on these. We didn't get our new silkscreen machine up and running yet, but this kind of shows you some of the innovation. Last year we come out with a counter slide bar that sits off the side of the bow. Now what this does is it allows you to take your bow, and when I teach guys how to stabilize a hunting bow, the first thing we want to stabilize out is the reaction, okay? And the bow's going to react based on where you put your pressure and basically how that bow is firing. If it's a single cam system, it's going to want to fire like this. If it's more binary, it's typically going to want to fire more, you know, more out. But first thing we want to do is cancel the reaction of the bow. So if you've got a bow that's, you know, kicking back at you, you've got to get rid of that. It's going to give you high arrows back. And so by doing that, we either put weight on the front or we move the bar out further to create more leverage. But sitting off the side of the bow, this allows us to off-weight the side, you know, the weight of the sight and the quiver. I know a lot of guys out east take your quiver off, and we think that's crazy, but you know, we hunt with quiver on the side of the bow, so that's a lot of drag weight on the right side of your bow. So this helps to counteract that and make everything level up and naturally come to level. And what we've done this year is Brock come up with this handy new dovetail design, so you can pop it in and off your bow too. Or you can change it, you can click it in or out for more leverage. Okay, so that's kind of your top of the end stabilizer. This will be available in a lot of different lengths too of our standard, you know, 6, 8, and 10-inch stabilizers also. So this is the new stabilizer shooters. Yeah, it's ambidextrous also.
Well, thanks, Tim. I appreciate
No problem.
going through everything.
Probably a little windy.